Well, I suggest everybody go to YouTube and watch the extended House of Numbers interview with Dr. Klaus. It's astonishing, and he just lays to waste the official count of HIV and AIDS. As I have been rewatching Dr. Klaus's extended House of Numbers interview, I'm remembering freshman university psychology class in the hills of Redlands, California. The teacher looked at us and he said, for your entire career now, you're going to have to remember how studies are done. This is the basis for everything you're going to do from now on. You have a control group and a placebo group. You test psychological studies, you test medical studies. One group gets the treatment and one group doesn't. Without this process in place, the results are not scientific. I've always remembered that. Dr. Klaus talks about how they decided to scrap the clinical trials for the AIDS medication because the control groups and the placebo groups for the antiviral drug AZT, they argued that to do so would be unethical because it's obvious that those on the AZT, a chemotherapy drug originally, would do much better. So they didn't have any control group, they didn't get it. They assumed their conclusion. So if you came to a hospital with tuberculosis and it was in the presence of HIV, you got the tuberculosis treatment and the HIV treatment. And after 4 months, there was no way your body was going to be able to hold up. Synergistic toxicity. But the resulting decay was based on AIDS. It was blamed on AIDS. As these things have entered the social orthodoxy, it's even harder now to make these kinds of determinations because everything's pointed to the conclusions that were assumed in a circular fashion. That's not scientific. They won't even hear of individuals doing their own control groups. Some authors have even offered to inject themselves with HIV. It's illegal. The university is not going to let it happen. A control group looks something like this. You have a group that is HIV positive and you treat them. You have another group that is HIV positive and you don't treat them. And you follow the results. That would be scientific. There have, however, been anecdotal accounts, though, which describe the groups that don't get treated as worlds more healthy. And their healthiness seems to rise and fall determined upon whether or not they were taking the common antiviral drugs. So take the Romanian baby that was adopted by an American family. The parents eventually pulled her out of the group, their HIV treatment group, and stopped the treatment. All the other babies died. She lived. So it would be easy to do these kinds of tests. And Dr. Duisberg shows this overwhelmingly. An example of how when something enters the medical orthodoxy and this gets muddied is in Africa, where common African diseases are now being renamed as AIDS. In fact, you don't even need an HIV diagnosis in Africa to be diagnosed with AIDS because it is based entirely on the symptoms. Circular upon circular, but here we are as truly independent journalists to give the truth to the world.